everyone, welcome to the Azure Learning Series. This is Lakshit Pant, your host for today, and I'm from Azure Developer Community. And today it's the day 3 of Azure Learning Series, and today we are going to talk about Azure databases. And for the Azure databases, we have our industry expert speaker Divakar sir here. He's doing a regular community work with us. His contribution is amazing. With along, he's a certified big data professional. He's a technology lead at Infosys and has been doing a really great in terms of contribution. So he'll talk about how databases works and how you can use optimize basically the Azure database services that are offered by Microsoft Azure. So not wasting much more time, I'll quickly pass on the stage to Divakar sir. So over to you.
Hey, Lakshit, thanks for an amazing introduction, man. So let's just dive deep in. Okay. So today we are going to cover about Azure Database as Service. So Azure provides a lot of platforms for databases. Okay. So we have different types of storage methodologies. So we'll cover one of the basic thing. So myself, I'm Divakar. I'm a software consultant actually. I work at Infosys. I'm an expert in Python, backend systems, cloud infrastructure. I also play along with several other technologies as well. So, diving deep into the topic, so let's start with Azure. Okay, so Azure offers a lot of services, out of which database is one of such service. So we can find several entities over here, and I can show you what specifically Azure offers. So Azure, they offer certain functionalities that you cannot do it in individually. Like they provide you automatic backup, point-to-point restores, geo replications. They provide you zone redundant functionalities. So I'll explain you on the going slides. Okay. So elasticity is something like, let's assume that I'm just receiving 100 requests per second. Okay. So in that case, it's very small. But let's say like my organization grows and my application size users and the scale grows. In that case, I have to increase my data base size and its capacity, right? So scaling is very easy over here. So all you just need to do is you have to just scale it. There is an option to scale it. You can expand it, and even you can enable geo redundancy. So let's assume that my targeted users are from India, but also there is another set of users that are coming from US. In that case, I can just create another sharded database over US where the throughputs, the speed is very high, so the user does not face much of a latency, and the application works seamlessly well. So Azure offers such kind of things, and then yeah, guaranteed low latency. So Microsoft Azure has a lot of data centers around the world, and they act with such a planned efficiency. So your latency is very less, and they are guaranteeing you that your latency will be less than 10 milliseconds, which is very high, very good actually. And then your downtime is also very less. Okay, so depending upon your geolocation and depending upon your network bandwidth and everything, this matters. But still, Azure offers the best in the industry as of now. And as of now, Azure is available around the world. Even in India, they have multiple data centers and they have multiple functionalities. So let's assume they have an issue with the data center around Chennai. Okay, in that case, all the data can be rolled over towards the nearest data center in some part of the India, and your data will be always backed up and they'll be ready for the users. So it's that easy. Okay, and since it is available around the globe, the latency is very less, and you do not have much of a downtime, and the data is synced up in the real time, so there is no issue actually. And then consistency. So Azure also follows certain SLA models where your data is bound to be strong. They follow strict rules, strict privacy policies, securities, and they have their own definitions of best product actually. Okay, and they also provide you several other APIs. So these APIs are something like instead of creating an endpoint by the user, Azure itself creates your endpoint. So if you want a SQL, if you want a Cassandra DB, or a Mongo or a Redis or something else. Depending upon the end user, the APIs are generated, and you can also have IDMs. So you can have IAMs for managing all these things. You can restrict the user, apply group policies. You can manage permissions, apply policies depending on the um, application or the user needs. You can make some constraints and make the application user experience very swiftly. And also, they perform their own indexing depending upon the type of data that you work on. So it's blazing fast, and the data is available anytime ready. And yeah, as I was speaking about the SLAs, so these are the SLAs which Azure tries to make up. And the great news is like 99% of the time, Azure is up to the standards. There was no delay in it. And you can see the latency is less than 10 milliseconds, and HA is 99, and throughput is guaranteed. Irrespective of any issues, any sort of natural calamities, all your data is backed up, synced, and available anytime ready. Consistency is again another major role. So since your data is available around the globe, depending upon your zonal configurations, your data is synced up around the globe, and the consistency is maintained no matter what actually. So you can find it seamlessly available. And then, yeah, next biggest thing about cloud is what sort of security do they apply to your data or to their data center. So Azure follows the leading data standards, okay, and they have their own security teams, and they have an enterprise grade security, like a military grade security. They apply encryption on the mode of transit and the reception, and these keys are like generally not shared, and they are maintained well. And annually, they go through several auditing policies, and they have a lot of compliance certifications stating that they have one of the leading security team, I mean, security team, and they apply a lot of data security in it. And then starting with the Azure SQL. So here you can see that Azure SQL has three different types of services. So basic is the virtual machine, in which you just you spin up a Linux or a Windows based machine, and just you use the SQL database over there. It's just like basic developer configurations. So then again comes with the single instance, where your instance is fully managed by Azure, and that is only used for a SQL. And instance pool is something like, let's assume my application is going to grow. In that case, I can spin up multiple containers of it and use it efficiently. And then single database and elastic pool is also similar. So all these things are mostly managed by Azure. And they also do the lift and shift, like migrating the data. Azure gives you a lot of plugins to migrate your data into their own servers. And the scaling, it's again very easy. They also offer you serverless compute. So instead of like spinning up your own instance, you can just use a serverless model to do some sort of operation directly. And yeah, SQL database. So this is something like every one of us would have heard about it. So Azure offers this as a service, platform as a service, wherein which you'll get SQL, and then MySQL, and then Postgres, also MariaDB. These are the basic databases that Azure offers, and the services are maintained and managed completely by the Azure, like the security updates or the patching. All these things run on the fly, and you would not have a downtime. And like all these data configurations, user roles, identities, all these things will be completely managed by Azure. And speaking of SQL database, we have our NoSQL database. So in Azure, we call it as Cosmos DB. It's similar to MongoDB, but it performs even better. So this is a variant of a document storing database, and it is a NoSQL database where it is offered for its speed, actually speed and scalability. So again, the service is available around the world, and there are a lot of SDKs for popular languages, wherein which we can connect and use it directly. The onboarding process and initial setup is very easy for Cosmos DB, and we'll just go for the next one. And yeah, this is another one, Redis. Redis is something like a cache kind of a database, which we use to maintain application, which we use to reduce the latency of an application, and the data is spread around different cache actually. So in this case, like we move our data from our database into our Redis cache. So each time whenever the end user pings to the database, it just hits the cache, and the data is received very faster. Like it happens in a very milliseconds actually. So this helps the user's application to be highly active and user friendly. And then Arc enabled services. So this is another famous one, wherein which let's assume that you're an organization, or you have some sort of data in your organization on your local premise, on your self-hosted servers. Okay. Assume that you want to sync up these data into your cloud. Okay. In that case, Azure offers you several plugins. Okay. Depending upon your data or the type of a database that you use, Azure offers you several plugins using which you can push your data into the servers, Azure servers, cloud servers, and this data is made available around the globe, and the consistency is maintained. And the best thing is the infrastructure. Again, your computers on your local premise also gets Azure's security and its patches. So you'll get an military grade protection actually. So that kind of a service is offered by Azure. So this is one of a famous service for everyone who's trying to migrate into the cloud. So this is kind of a hybrid cloud approach. And then finally, so here you can see Arc enable servers. So this is a simple demo. Like here you can see infrastructure as a service, where earlier the you would spin up a mission. I mean virtual machine. You install your SQL, you maintain it, you apply its configuration, security patches. That's one. And then Azure also offers platform as a service, wherein which Azure takes care of the database provisioning, um, its availability, scalability, and everything. And as an end user, you'll be just connecting through its endpoints using its credentials. Then on the bottom, you can see Azure services. Again, same similar thing. You can connect to Azure services, get its complete protection, data securities, all these things will be enabled directly. Okay. And yeah, as I was speaking earlier, like you can also see here, this is a pictorial representation where you can see Azure functions. So Azure has a lot of functions using serverless models. You can connect with the database, perform some operations depending upon your needs. All these plugins are available actually. As of now, some things are still under construction, but soon within next few releases, you will find all these plugins actively available, and you can perform all sort of serverless functions and use cases. So who's going to use all these things? As you can see, all the leading retail industries, financial industries, lot of sectors, enterprise customers are already using Azure. They've already moved their application into Azure. So you can see a lot of companies, and most of them would be familiar with the top of these companies actually. And the reason why these customers prefer is Azure offers a better security. They always deliver their products with utmost security, and they follow all the SLAs, compliance, and they also build the applications intelligent in a way that all these applications can be maintained easily, and it's flexible, and there is a multi-tenancy usage too, so you can scale your applications easily. So basically, in retail industry, if you see, I believe everyone would be familiar with Udan. Udan is a popular startup from India where they are using Azure SQL actually. So they quoted that this Azure infrastructure database as a service has saved them a lot of cost, and it has helped them to maintain a very good application uptime. And one of the developer quoted that they add a downtime only for 4.32 percentage, seconds per downtime a day actually. So that's something very special about Azure. So the entire database is available, and that's easily scalable too. So that's something very special. And then again, this is another example where you can see towards your right, like we see that Azure Cosmos DB, and here like the data is they are processing, they are fetching some data, they are processing it, but you can see that we are using Azure APIs from the backend to connect to our database, and we are using Azure functions to push some notifications, Spark, all these things. So here you can see this particular model is built to showcase that Azure is effectively used for peak periods, like peak traffic periods, where the data can be easily scaled. Actually, your applications scales up automatically during the peak period, and availability is very high, so the end user does not face any downtime. And here is another real-time recommendation system. So here, if you see, like this is a website where we are having an event hub for scraping some data. The old method is to like push the data into our data lake storage, do some processing using Spark, and push the data. Okay, but right now we have a different layers of processing. Like we have something called as Azure Service Fabric, which is highly efficient. And the good thing is like it has intelligent applications. It has intelligent models where it will do its recommendations automatically. And again, it ensures very high performance of the application. And the consistency is very rapid. See, real-time applications like Amazon or these Netflix, they need real-time recommendation systems. So Azure is one of the great platform delivering those kind of stuffs actually. So coming back to financial sector, again, this Clear Trend is another biggest firm where they use our Azure as a SaaS, where they handle financial data and they scale globally based upon the demand, and it's distributed so everyone can use it without any issue seamlessly. So again, you can see we have app services managing stuffs, and the Azure databases are employed for managing their database. So another real-time payment system. So this is again DNB Bank. So here they are using Azure, and the good thing is like since most of the applications, most of the services that developers need are already onboarded, so connectivity between these things is very easy and seamless. In case if they need a different cloud approach, Azure offers plugins wherein which you can connect to a AWS or GCP or Oracle cloud, and you can fetch data and you can migrate, you can do all those things. So it's easy. Azure offers you all these kind of easy things. And finally, solving industry specific needs actually. So Azure offers a lot of services where you can see like transactional data can be managed, real-time data can be managed. Real-time data are something like cricket scores, those kind of data, big data processing, analytical works. So all these kind of for all these kind of problems, Azure has its own products, wherein which you can concentrate on each sectors, and it helps you to solve all these issues. Okay, so that's something Azure offers you, and I would like to show what Azure offers. There are a few more services in database, so I'll just show a small demo. One second. Um, okay, I'm just facing an issue, but I would recommend everyone to go to portal.azure.com, visit the database services, wherein which you can find the different types of engines, hybrid data services. Try to use it, and you can sign up for the cloud, and you'll get some credits. Using that, you can test, you can create your own instances, databases, and then you can spin up your own services actually. Try it, then you would experience the cloud and the structured and all these things. Okay, so that's it. If there is any questions, please let me know, and thank you.
Hello, hi Divakar.
Hi, Jay. Yeah.
Hi. Uh, I guess there is no question in the comment section.
Okay.
Yeah. So, guys, if you have any question, you can connect with Divakar. I'm dropping LinkedIn ID or the comments, or you can drop your question to his developer community. We'll get back to you with solution for the same. You can also join our Discord channel for more such amazing session and infos. Thank you, Divakar, to be an awesome speaker for today's session. It was an awesome listening to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sathak, for having me. Bye.